I can't really hear. I'm not hearing.
Okay.
It's
Does that help?
Now I can hear you, Lisa.
Okay, I will project.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Mary
Thank
Lee. So we have Mary Lee on Zoom. We have Vicky Rosenberg, Peggy Gilday, Stan Steiner, and myself, Lisa McGee from the board. We have Stella and Kip and Lindsay on staff, and Diana Peck from the foundation. I'm missing anybody else on Zoom?
Yeah, Diana E, communications coordinator,
Okay, great. Hi, Diana.
and someone I don't know.
And
It's Abigail.
And Abigail. Okay, wonderful. Great. Let's see. So has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? Are there any questions or additions? Okay, hearing none, I move to approve the July 2023 regular meeting agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Stan. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. New board member, welcome. It's really great to see all three of you. I thought we would just take a few moments. Maybe you can introduce yourselves, take a minute or two just to tell us why you're excited about being on the board. And Stan and I'll introduce ourselves. You'll make up stuff.
Well, happy to start. My name's Peg Gilday. I'm an architect here in town. I moved here in '95, and for the most part, my children were brought up here. I have a lot of experience with nonprofit boards, the Center for the Arts, as well as the Land Trust for many, many years. And I was really excited to act on a public board. And so obviously beloved library. We were the architects for the addition of the library, so I have an intimate knowledge. When you say learning lab, I know right where it is, because we drew it a million times. So, yeah, so very excited to be here and happy. It was nice to meet with Mary Lee and Vicky at our interviews, and then we all were selected. So that was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yes, happy to be here. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Peg. Vicky?
I moved here we actually bought our property in 2007, dumb time to do it, and moved here beginning of 2009. So been here a while, not technically a real local. My kids grew up in upstate New York near Albany. And now they're scattered in New Hampshire, California, and Utah. So I get to travel. I have always been a book lover. I used to climb the trees to read a book when I was a little girl, or curl up in a wheelchair, and nobody could find me. I tried to convey that to my kids, and they are great readers, and they're reading like crazy to their children. So, and 3 of them are beginning. They're 5, so they're beginning to actually read. It's exciting. I love it.
Thank you. Mary Lee, joining us from Canada.
Hi. Yeah, you can see the Georgian Bay. I thought it was more important for you to see the Georgian Bay than see me. But I am just a Teton County library lover. I've lived in Teton County for 40 years, raised my 2 kids, met my husband, then got married, then had 2 kids. Both of them live in Seattle now. I just have benefited immensely from the library, and I look forward to doing whatever is needed to move it forward and meet the goals of the strategic plan the best we can. And I just look forward to the community involvement.
Great, thank you. Stan, have you had a chance to meet or do you already know?
No, I don't really know.
Introduce
As
yourself.
I'm here, well, I do some, but, I've been in and out of the valley since 1978. I first came here to teach school and then, left for grad school, left, the professor at Boise State and then retired 6 years ago this month. And I've been back here for about 7 or 8 years now. So, yeah, and we, our kids went to school here for part of the time and also part of the time in Boise and. You know, the three of us are graduates of the University of Wyoming, so we're pretty embedded in Wyoming anyway, so, but. And I'm working on a build project now that's sort of taken me away for a little while because my wife is full-time granny nanny. And so we needed a place to live, so I tore down the garage and I'm building a garage with an apartment and the exterior is now finished. I'm moving in next week for building cabinets and stuff, so. Otherwise,
Thank you.
hopefully be finished by the end of August
And that's in Boise.
in Boise.
That's
So
great.
I'll be back here, so.
Good, good. Thanks, everybody. I'm Lisa McGee, and I joined the board last year. For I'm sure a lot of the same reasons as all of you. I have a son who's going into high school, who grew up here, and we have benefited so much from the library, from the Harry Potter stuff to just coming here literally a couple times a week. We just love it. And I had also never served on a government or a county board. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit, a statewide conservation group. I met my husband here, just like Mary Lee, in the late 90s. And between grad school for both of us in Laramie and some time spent in Lander, where my nonprofit is, we've been kind of in and out of here for 20 or so years. So I'm really happy to be starting my second year. And with all of you, I'm excited. This is a good board, it seems like, so thank you. Okay, well, getting back to the agenda. I think we're going to nominate and elect officers. So there are 5 of us for 4 positions. And the slate I would like to propose after speaking with each of you is that I would put my name in for chair, Vicky as vice chair, Peg as treasurer, and Stan to remain secretary. And then Mary Lee, we hope you are appointed for another 3 years, and in the future, you take on an officer role. So that is the slate I proposed. Does anybody have any comment or question?
I really appreciate Lisa stepping up to move into that position because we're both rookies, so.
It's a big step.
Big shoes to fill from Peter. But I just have all the confidence in the world of Kip and Stella and happy to help. Okay, do I have a motion to?
I'll make a motion.
Right,
I move that the suggested slate of officers be adopted.
thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll set it.
Okay, Vicky, thanks. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to all of us. All right, we're gonna move on to the approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting of June 15th. Everyone had a chance to glance over those? Okay. think I'm looking for a motion to approve those minutes.
I move to approve them.
Thank you, Vicky. Do I have a second?
Second, can we actually approve them if we weren't participating?
That's, actually, I have that question for Abigail, especially when we get to the special meeting minutes.
Right,
There were only 3 people present for that meeting and only 2 of them are board members now. So I don't know the process for approving minutes by people who weren't present.
Abigail, did you hear the question?
I did. That's a new one for me. And is there one person present today who was present at the special? Mary Lee?
I believe Mary Lee and Stan were present.
Well, I think that if they express their comfort level to the remainder of the board with the accuracy of the minutes, that's fine for everyone to vote on it.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
So I believe I can second the regular
Yeah.
meeting minutes. Okay, great. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great, thank you. Motion passes. And then with respect to the approval of the special board meeting minutes on June 21st, Mary Lee or Stan, would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the special board meeting minutes for June 21st.
Thank you. Is there a second?
That'd be you, Mary Lee.
Mary Lee?
You're on mute, Mary Lee.
There we go. I second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right, we are coming upon public comment. Are there any members of the public on Zoom? There is not. All right. Moving on then to correspondence. Kip, do I hand that over to you or?
There was a letter that every board member received, mostly past board members that are no longer with us. But you saw the letter, and since programming is not purview of the board, I wrote a response and delivered that to Lynn Fries, who had written specifically to the same similar letter. So.
Okay, well, thanks. And yeah, I know you are really interested and responsive to public comment. So appreciate those who put the letter together, and thanks, Kip, for your reply. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. I think at this point we asked, does anyone want anything pulled from the consent agenda to discuss?
I think Stella will have some information that we probably won't be approving the consent agenda today
Okay,
because of where the county is in everything, so.
Yes, so regarding that we received from the county, we did get our expenditure report at the end of last week, which enabled me to go into QuickBooks and pay our bills. However, we did not receive any of the treasurer reports. I was waiting, and I reached out to that department and found out that the treasurer documents. So basically what's in the package, your revenue reports, there's the revenue report and the balance sheet. Both of those you can consider draft documents. Reason being is I found out from the treasurer's office that the county's undergoing an audit right now. The audit is not due to be completed until October 31st, which then I was told, so these are not final documents from the treasurer's office, which then leads Kip and I to believe that you can't, that this is strictly an informational item at this point in time for this meeting in terms of the financials for June.
Also because June is the last month of the fiscal year,
Right.
you are actually approving a lot of vouchers this month that are payable from last fiscal year, so those have not been reflected here either, so. It's sort of an update, but not anything
Okay,
final or accurate.
If you do have any questions over any of the financials, I am happy to answer those for you.
thanks.
Is the county getting geared up to get stuff more in line with fiscal year and stuff in the way of timeliness of things?
I haven't asked that question. Certainly what happened with these treasurer reports was really late in the month, further than is typical for them. And that's why I kept thinking I better reach out and find out when they're gonna be released. And so this was a bit unusual. I do not remember this timing happening last year. I don't think we had the timing of the audit that created this unable to approve final documents for the month previous, the prior.
The last fiscal year is also open through August 10th, I believe, when all county departments have expenses. So
Any other questions for Stella about these finances? Thanks, Stella. All right, moving on to the dates of the fiscal year 24 board meetings. Kip, do I turn that over to you?
sure. I think
Okay,
You've all hopefully read the staff report. Stella and I, as you continuing work efforts now, getting financial documents prepared in time for the third Thursday has been difficult every month. So, and the fact that this is a public board and we would like the public to be able to participate in a meeting more readily than a 9 a.m. meeting. We're recommending pushing the meeting to 5 p.m. To allow working people, or more working people to be able to participate than might otherwise be able to participate. You have read that we are proposing the fourth Tuesday of the month. After realizing and discussing with Stella yesterday, finding a meeting space is going to be extremely difficult. Because the youth auditorium is used for after school. The learning lab is going to be turned into a makerspace. And we have Tuesday night programs in the Ordway. So I'm proposing pushing that out to the fourth Wednesday. And that would allow us to reserve the Ordway for our meetings. And so I have a document that has the new dates. If you would like to know those, or
they weren't on the.
just at, for the most part, at the, if you scroll down from the staff.
Got it.
The one that's most different would be the November voucher meeting. That would be pushed back or pushed up a week, so it would be the 22nd of November. And I believe everything else is pushed forward by 1 day. So it would be August 23rd, October 25th, January 24th, February 28th, March 27th, May 22nd, June 26th. And then for voucher meetings, September 27th, November 22nd, December 27th, and April 24th.
And that's to be Wednesday at 5.
Yes. That's our recommendation. It's entirely up to the board to decide whether or not to adopt that recommendation.
Any discussion, concerns from the board?
Meetings are typically an hour, can go up to 2. Is that right?
I would say they generally not more than 90 minutes.
Sometimes less.
Okay.
5 minutes.
This agenda today looks very long, but I think it's gonna be a pretty short meeting, so.
It's just a pain in the neck to drive from Jackson at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, each have a 4 o'clock, that's just a suggestion, but I'll make whatever work.
4 o'clock gives some people a pretty good opportunity, I suppose. To get, yeah,
It's
people,
just a thought.
it's easier to leave work early than it is to go in late. So,
Right, yeah, if you're coming from the west, Gilson or whatever, that's a miserable time of day to be on the road. And I don't have a lot of patience.
4 o'clock.
I mean, I can do either, and I do want to be responsive, and the whole reason of changing it from 9 to 5 is to allow working people to attend. I'm not sure 4 o'clock helps.
On Zoom, you come.
I'm happy to do either.
Just leave it, it's fine. 5 is good.
I did do a little research to see what was the normal time for most library board meetings, and it ranges from a start time of 4 to a start time of 7. So,
I mean, I definitely prefer 5 over 7,
yes,
so.
when I lived in Massachusetts, it was 8 o'clock. So I have everybody time to get home
Right.
from the city and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't we try it, is my suggestion
We can always
for the year.
revisit it.
Okay, so I move to pass the resolution adopting the fiscal year 24 Library Board of Directors meeting schedule as Kip presented it. Having meetings the 4th Wednesday of every month, starting at 5 p.m. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes, thanks. All right, moving on to the capital reserve fund allocation for this fiscal year.
Okay, every year in our budget, for the new board members, especially, capital projects are funded differently through the library than other county departments, where they sort of have to one up each other to get projects done. We set aside an annual amount, and right now that annual amount is $150,000. And it's deposited into a special revenue fund for capital expenditures. Right now, I believe that fund is sitting at around 1.75 million. And so, anyway, our budget was adopted. They approved $150,000, and this would transfer that $150,000 from our operating budget into our capital reserve.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, so do you each year start out the budget with a 150,000 designated in the budget to go to the capital reserve fund? And then you use that, because I noticed there's some, like we got some tax revenue that went into the capital. Isn't that right? Didn't some tax funds go into the capital reserve account? And then didn't we withdraw from the capital reserve account to meet our budget in 2023? Did I get that right, or?
That is not what the library did. Maybe the county did. I don't know. Since I've been here, we've transferred 150,000 from operating into capital, and then I believe about a year and a half ago, we had a firm called Bureau Veritas do a facility assessment for us. And so they've outlined a 20-year maintenance plan for the library facilities. And So most of our capital projects are based on that report. And then we do other projects, like we purchased a storage shed that's on the library's parking lot now. So we have some internal projects that are outside of what is building maintenance.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the allocation of $150,000 to the library capital reserve fund and the library county reimburse operations account as approved in the fiscal year 24 budget. A second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I want to commend the library for having that analysis done. The Center for the Arts did not have one done until we joined the board, and we did a similar kind of thing. It's kind of eye-opening to understand how long things last, and when you ignore it and things fall apart, it costs a lot more money. So
Yes.
thank you guys for having that.
Trying our best to adhere to that.
It's tough as costs go up.
Thank you all.
Lisa, can I?
Yes.
Clarification in our minutes, did we approve the consent agenda? I'm not sure we had a motion on that. We have notes on that.
We
The
didn't
consent agenda?
because it was about the financials. So we just sort of got an update.
Yeah, because they're not
So,
final
yeah,
documents.
I thought maybe we'd do it with the amendment that works. So,
Thanks, Tim.
okay.
All right, moving on to the transfer of interest income to the capital reserve fund.
I'm going to turn it over to
To
Stella.
Stella, thanks.
So one of the benefits of when the library moved our accounting to the county accounting is that we've seen really great rise in revenue in our interest accounts. And so what we are proposing is to move $75,000 from the interest revenue to our capital reserves. And so that is the motion on the table. So I just told you that the June documents are not finalized. But as of May, we had $73,000 roughly in interest income. So we do feel confident that the 2,000 that is on the draft June document will be present. So therefore, we're recommending a move of $75,000. Yes.
In doing so, does that move it into, is the capital reserve fund an interest-bearing fund?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to reach out to our treasurer to find out if that is an interest-bearing fund. One thing I can tell you though is the capital reserve fund cannot be touched by the county. So anything we move in there, that is strictly for the library's purposes.
Okay,
And perpetuity.
Okay,
that makes sense. Just to be moving things around doesn't make much sense,
Right.
but if there's a good purpose for it.
Yeah, and as Kip was just saying, based upon the projects of just regular maintenance, deferred maintenance to this building and also to Alta, and then just a variety of projects that we have on the plate also related to our strategic plan, we're going to be utilizing these funds. So
any other questions or discussion? Thanks, Stella. Do I have a
Just give
motion?
big shout out to our county treasurer for
Oh,
our
yes.
investment abilities.
Yes, thanks. Yeah,
We had our own account at First Interstate. Our annual interest was maybe $1,000.
huge
And
difference. Yeah.
so now in a year, we've accumulated over $75,000 in interest. So being part of a larger pot of money for investment purposes is very beneficial.
That's great. That's great. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to accept the transfer of 75,000 into the capital reserve.
Vicky, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, let's talk about the reciprocal borrowing agreement
Sure.
with our friends at the Valley of the Teton Library.
Sure. A while back, still a process that we haven't completed, but we've been looking at trying to change our library card policy, trying to expand the ease of getting a library card here with us. And currently, anybody who doesn't live in Teton County or have another Wyoming library card has to pay a membership fee to join us. And at one time, I believe the Valley of the Teton patrons were allowed to just get a card at the library, and then the decision was made to start charging them. And met with some frustration to people who were used to having services for free. And I understand having a fee because their tax dollars don't support us. But over the course of time, and the view of the commissioners have been that people who live in Teton Valley are just as much a part of our community. They keep our economy going. They travel over here and work every day. They keep our stores open.
And that means that they will on tax
There's
if
no
they work
Wyoming
here
tax,
on income.
no income tax in Wyoming. So it's just their spending in our county to shop, to
Sales tax.
sales tax, all of that. Yeah, sales tax.
It's one like
Um,
paycheck tax.
So.
They might want to touch your cash.
I know, somebody's pocketing it. So as we were trying to figure out, do we want to just extend our library cards to people who work here? That process starts to get a little intense for staff, having to show proof of employment or whatever. And so in other places I've worked, there have been reciprocal agreements between libraries. And that seemed like the easiest way for us to do that. So I worked with the interim director at Valley of the Tetons on this agreement, as well as they worked with the Idaho Commission for Libraries. I worked with the state library. And what you see here is the agreement that we both have agreed upon. And their board was anxious to approve this. They approved it back in June. We were a little slower to approve it or to get something finalized for you. And so what you see here is what we are proposing. It's pretty much our library card is good at their library, theirs is good here, with some restrictions on mainly streaming and downloadable materials. State contracts with Overdrive or Libby and a lot of the research databases are restricted to Wyoming and or Idaho residents only. So those are going to be excluded. At the end of the agreement, it says this agreement becomes effective on the date signed. Yes, the agreement may be, but implementation will take some time. But to have work with the state library to set up specific guidelines that will enforce the agreement.
I did have a question, Kim, on the one little A5, which is if someone takes out books from one or the other, they have to return it where they got it. It's a must, but then there's this like, but
We know they already don't.
Okay, so there's no
We're-
fee for the people who are still enjoying the service, but sort of not following the rules.
Most places, most libraries in most states have courier systems that deliver books around the state or the region. We're,
You do too,
we don't have that here.
right?
And so that's why we are kind of
Hoping,
they will
okay,
but right now, especially on the other side, Alta gets a lot of books. For their library, and they also get some of Alta's books.
okay,
So they have a informal
okay. As long as
agreement
it's
that they
working for you all.
move them around.
Yeah.
But if they sort of a patron would be, you need to return that to the library.
Okay.
Because we don't have a formal system.
Right, okay, that's my only question. Did others have questions on the agreement itself? Or the concept?
Yep, I was happy that you included, that says E under the first section. Where just
The challenge
the
of
challenge materials, that was a good move in there.
what happens in Idaho.
Yeah.
It is a different community than here, so. I take it with that.
Okay. Great, do I have a motion then to adopt this agreement?
I so move that we adopt this agreement.
Thanks, Stan, second, any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion passes, thank you. All right, let's move on to library policies and the staff report.
Okay. Started out planning to have two policies come before you. One of them, we are continuing to the August meeting after discussion with Abigail. There's a couple of things that need to be tweaked in the opioid overdose policy. Also, if anybody on the board has an interest in that area and wanted to work with Abigail and I on that, please let me know. In that, but you'll see that next month. The other policy is the library programs policy, and this has been in development with the leadership team for a little while, and then it sort of became apparent we needed one when we received the correspondence that was in this month's packet. So what this does is just sort of like our collection development policy, lets staff know what their guidelines are for developing programs. And it also is just transparent to the public, how the library goes about planning programs and why some programs may be presented, some programs may not be presented. And because this is an internal policy, that's basically for staff guidelines, it is not a public policy that needs to be opened for public input for 45 days. You can adopt the policy today.
Any questions? Thanks, Kip.
I have a question. I'm sure. I thought that your letter response was helpful in that you had a solution. You can.
Yes.
So is a sponsorship a rental of the space, or is that different?
That is
That is
different.
considered, oh, it's different.
It is
So
different.
this is not addressing if someone wants to rent the space.
Yeah,
Okay,
they are subject just to the guidelines of the meeting policy.
great.
It's the co-sponsorship is us partnering with another organization,
Okay, thanks. So great. Thank you for that clarification.
much like our Tuesday night program. So, yeah.
Other questions? Okay, thank you, Kip. I will move to approve the library programs policy as presented. I have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, Kip, back to you again with your report.
I will keep my update of my report very short. Staffing, hiring at the library is always sort of at the top of my report. This month in particular, with the new budget, we have a number of new positions or positions that were part-time moving to full-time that are now posted. The facilities maintenance tech is now a full-time position to help Rick to maintain 2 facilities. So that is currently posted. The makerspace position is open. Equipment is currently being ordered for the makerspace, so we're hoping that we'll have somebody on board to help design programs and train the public on how to use this stuff. We have a new adult services library, senior library assistant, Mary Kelly, who's coming to us from Boise. She will be joining us at the end of this month. She seems very excited to be moving here, and she is taking advantage of the apartment that the foundation has available at the moment. So she's has been guaranteed for up to 2 years, which is very helpful. We did recruit finally after many weeks, a part-time person to work out in Wilson at the library table.
Okay.
We have him through Labor Day,
Okay,
and then we'll be recruiting again. So if you know anybody who's looking for an easy part-time job, please send them our way. And I feel like a broken record with this one. The IT tech position has been open since November. Hopefully with the new salary plan that the county's adopted, that will help with recruitment for that position. So the county IT department itself has
openings too.
openings. So we're working together to help each other out. And then the other one that I would highlight would be the library kiosk. Stella, Rick, and I went out to Wilson, Steve Ashworth, Parks and Rec Director, and identified a very nice spot for the kiosk. Rick has been doing some work with parks to make sure the infrastructure is in place, electricity and such. And so that project is slowly moving forward. So
Where's it gonna be located? Does it look like
you know, in Berkshire, right at
at this?
where the cattle run it starts. They're nobody uses the cattle run anymore, so they're going to take a piece of that, and it's right, that's the parking lot, so it'll be easy access and for plowing and such.
Yeah. Great.
And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions about Kip's report? Thank you, Kip. There's a lot in here. And the foam party,
I know.
I'll just say the foam party.
Oh,
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Diana.
Hello, everyone. So we are excited because our board just approved our funding to the library. They requested $786,745. And our board on June 28th reviewed mostly all the new programs. We created a document for our board that shows a summary of all of those staff's funding request applications for the programs. highlighting all new programs. We're also gonna have a summary document soon that shows all continuing programs that are going. But yeah, that was approved for the new fiscal year. I promised you that report. It was 27 pages long, so I didn't want to print it, so I sent it to Kip by email this morning, right before the meeting, so he didn't have time to take a peek, but if you want to upload it to a shared drive where they can access it,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. Just, we just described the budget in two ways. We created a worksheet that shows specifically all of the numbers, so what dollar amounts are being asked for, and then for exactly for what those purchases are going to be. So that's going to be in your Excel worksheet, and then there's a Word doc that follows. That's a summary of all of the new programs, and the document includes a lot of the staff's application words for why it's important, who benefits, and how that ties those programs and services tie back to your strategic plan. So we're thrilled with that. And then I also have right now, this is not complete. As you all know, we too are closing out our fiscal year spending. Oh, when I come back around, still have an extra. I think I do an extra. We're closing out our fiscal year current spending. So this is the library's enrichments report for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 23. This is as it is right now. We do have a couple of outstanding bills that still have to be entered. We're just waiting on some of the library's final numbers for like library table and others for our staff, I think, and then I forget what else, but so it's looking good right now. Without the final numbers, we're at $400,037 spent, which is approximately 85.5% of the projected or requested amount, which was let's see, 467,358. So we're just about, that's where we were last year, just about 85% spent of the requested amount for the current fiscal year. So hopefully we get just a little bit closer as we finalize all the outstanding invoices, but we are thrilled that our goal is always to get within 10%, so 90% of spent. That's usually the goal, but we're getting there, we're close. So we're really excited about all of the programs that we supported this year and helped to enhance, and super excited about what's coming for the new fiscal year. So it's been great working with staff on the budget requests and finding out what their ideas are for next year and how they want to really create some really cool programs. And then of course, lots of facilities enhancements that we're excited about as well. So Makerspace is one of them. Super excited.
I've already spent $20,000.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll have a chance, once Kip gets that uploaded into your shared drive, you'll have a chance to take a look at that document and see what we're excited about for the coming fiscal year. Another announcement we're making is that the foundation and friends are officially merging. We have voted unanimously, our board and their board have voted unanimously to become one organization. And so now we're just going through the legal tasks, legal and administrative tasks to combine all of our finances and our bylaws, restate our articles of incorporation. So all that good stuff. And we're going to be making a public announcement soon. We have a celebration scheduled. We're hoping that you'll allow it. So you probably saw included in your packet, the foundation is requesting to reserve space in the library on Sunday, August 27th from 5:30 to 7.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
5:30 to 7. We want to have a bit of a reception and celebration, bring together most of the folks from, I mean, all the friends that we can find, right? All the friends we like to invite, any former board members of the Friends, long-term volunteers, of course, our board and some of the foundation's past leadership, and also the foundation's past staff who said to us, you know, this was an idea we had 20 years ago. So it's great to see it finally come to fruition. So we're requesting to have that in the library. The library is closed at that time. So it's an after hours celebration. And we're also requesting you approve that we serve some wine and beer along with some light bites. So.
Any questions for Diana before we address the motion? Diana, this is really awesome. And what happened between last year and this year that you almost have doubled the amount of money you're able to provide for staff requests? I mean, this is a lot of money, but you said it was something like
786,745.
About double. So did you just have a wonderful fundraising year?
We're
or-
actually, the library, the foundation right now has lots of cash reserves. So we have the ability to spend down some cash reserves that are currently in the form of CD investments. We additionally have a 4% endowment payout, so interest on our endowment accounts that we don't always tap into in full. So we have those areas of reserve that we can tap into. But more importantly, I think the board is excited on potentially raising more money this year.
Oh, good.
You know, I think, we have a lot of folks in the supporters of the foundation who are super excited about the library. And there's the sense that, Kit, we were talking about this as we're preparing our annual report together, that this was the year it all came back, right? This is the year at post-COVID that people feel like there's all this activity, there's all this life inside the library and in the programs. And so the foundation's feels like, the last few years have been a bit of a challenge, right? With COVID shutdowns and various other aspects of challenges within the community. And so everyone's enthusiastic about getting out there and really enhancing our relationships with our donors and trying to raise more money this year. People say, we want to help, we want to see it. So
That's
yes, everyone keeps telling Kip, dream big, Kip.
And the strategic direction created a lot of opportunity for us to do some things. So there's a lot of new projects that's not just funding ongoing projects.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions or reflections around Diana's report? Okay, well, I would then move to approve the foundation's request to serve alcohol at an after-hours event on Sunday, August 27th.
Second.
Vicki with the second, thank you. Any discussion? And maybe just for the benefit of the new board members, I think there's just a couple times a year, it's limited when we can have an event with alcohol.
Yes.
So,
That's true, 2 times. I think in the request, we may have stated an excerpt of the policy.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
from the county facilities policy.
great, wonderful. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I don't think that we have Lori or anyone from the Friends, but I could be wrong.
We do not.
We do not.
Lori just wanted to submit a last Friends report.
Aw.
So,
Well, I look forward to seeing her and all of them at the event. I'd love to come. So thanks to Lori. I do think it's a really exciting merger. It seems like it's working for both sides. It's just great. We don't have any board committee reports. We don't have any ad hoc committees right now working on anything. But it would be great to hear an update about board training, if there's a date in mind or anything, and I don't know if that's asked yet.
Abigail to
Sure.
come on just to sort of talk about what the training might cover, what she plans to cover, and what time commitment we need before we pick a date.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
It's really, I guess, up to the board. I can either do training for the full board, or I can do it for smaller groups, depending on people's schedules. Sometimes when you have, so either one. And I would plan probably 90 minutes is probably good. And basically what it involves is just taking, the board, it can be a reminder for current board members and, or refreshers, and then information for the new board members on the governing documents for the library, statutes, that created the library, the responsibilities of the library board members, which are a bit different than a lot of the other volunteer boards because of the level of the fiscal oversight in the statutes for the library board. And then also like the Public Meetings Act, public notice for meetings. Although a lot of what we used to go over is actually pretty well laid out in your new bylaws that were adopted at the last meeting. That's a pretty good overview of a lot of it, but not all of it. And I'm just there to answer questions. So we could either, I think a lot of boards, we've done it at special meetings. You know, occasionally if there's a regular meeting that you know is going to be super light, we could do it then, but otherwise we tend to do it at special meetings. If it's the full board, or depending on people's schedules, we could also just do 2 smaller meetings if it's not a quorum, where I just meet with people in smaller groups.
I would probably recommend doing it as a special meeting so that all 5 members are together at the same time, hear the same message, hear the same questions asked.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love to just hear it for a second time. So I'll be happy to come. Do you have a preference, Stan?
No, I think there was too many choices, Abigail.
Okay, one special meeting, pick a date.
I'd like to say that if there's no urgency, that could we wait until either late August, early September? Because I'd love to be there in person. It's I get a lot more out of a meeting if I'm there in person.
That was my next question was to you, Mary Lee, is when are you back?
August 22nd. So I'm back for our next board meeting and then I'll be back.
And then I leave on the 23rd, actually, I won't be at that meeting, except I Zoom.
What about September dates?
Back in September.
September 2nd. And then I'm okay in September.
We don't have a regular meeting in September. We have a voucher meeting, so maybe we could actually.
Is that okay for people?
Let me see what the date was in September. Yeah, I'm back from a conference, so September 27th.
Sure.
If we went to do a special meeting in person. No Zoom.
Does that work for you?
Oh, my schedule is really, you know, undetermined yet, but I think that'll be fine. I'll just plug it.
It's undetermined, I will lock it.
What date was it in September?
September 27th,
Mhm.
and we could do any time.
Oh, I'm not here. Sorry,
5 o'clock. No,
I'm not here that week.
Are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, actually.
What about the weekend of 4/5?
Or for the 11th.
Let's see, 11.
when you're,
Yeah, what's the holiday? Week of the 11th.
I'm here, so it's up to everybody else.
Wait, is that, did I just hear someone mention the 11th?
The week of the 11th?
The week of the
Oh,
11th.
So, yeah, I'm out the 11th, the whole week before, but I'm back in the office on the 12th. So that week would be fine, just not Monday, the 11th.
I can't do Tuesday.
The 13th.
Sure.
Any particular time.
We get used to 5 o'clock?
are we now on the 11th
The
or
13th.
13th? Friday, the 13th.
Wednesday, the 13th.
I'm sorry.
What's your availability, Abigail?
I'm available Wednesday, the 13th.
Would you prefer day or later in the evening? I mean, 5.
Do you have a preference for?
that- Oh, is that, if that was directed at me, I can accommodate anything.
Mind doing it at like 3. Because we don't, it's not a public meeting.
I mean, it is, But
Oh.
it will be posted as,
Okay.
but it won't be on Zoom or anything, so.
Okay.
Yeah, if
So-
everyone can appear in person, then we can notice the special meeting is workshop and board training. So there would not be public participation. If people could show up and sit in, and we, also might, if everyone can appear on person, it would not be listed on the agenda as being on Zoom.
Won't be recorded or anything.
Okay.
The work session.
I can do 5, but I like 3. Okay,
3 o'clock.
great. 3 o'clock on the 13th then.
Yeah. Right here live. somewhere.
Right here live. So live is.
And then the 27th, when you say voucher meeting, does that,
It's probably a 5-minute meeting.
Okay.
We convene, approve vouchers and bills, and
so those are, voucher meetings are okay to be on Zoom?
those are just Zoom.
Okay,
meetings.
perfect.
And those are still
There's
at
no-
5.
Yeah.
Great.
Just to be consistent. But there's no need to appear for 5 minutes.
Okay. Great. Well, speaking of vouchers, payment of library vouchers is the last thing on the agenda, and because we're turning over treasurer to Peg. I signed the vouchers yesterday. I think there might be one I still have to sign. And then maybe there's a time Stella and Peg could meet to just go over the process.
Sure, I'm happy to schedule something with you.
Great.
A day before the meeting. Great, well, do I need to sign that before I make a motion? Does it matter?
Well, a voucher is not a check, it's like a purchase order.
Right, it's what we then take to the county that then enables them to cut the checks.
Yeah, so I sign here, Kimball signed there, and there's a stack of them. Everyone.
We'll get writer's credits.
Yeah, Peggy, it's the vouchers are used by the county, both by the commissioners and the library, because it's in the statutes, but it basically does mean a check. You're approving, checks being written. It's sort of an archaic word that's in the statutes.
Great. But I just want to make sure I didn't need to be on a bank account. In the past, I've had to be on bank.
Yeah, that's
Great. Sounds easier.
Yes.
Okay, so I move to approve the payment of library vouchers. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Did I move to adjourn? I move to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Second, third, fourth.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.